DuckTales on the NES is heavily touted for its exceptional platforming execution, and for good reason. It's got arguably the perfect amount of exploration, puzzle solving, and a unique mechanic all its own. Now, toss in a seasoned cast of characters whom have been written through the eyes and ears of some of the most talented individuals whom don the magical paintbrush over at Disney, and folks, you got the recipe for success. So naturally, the next evolution of a franchise of this caliber would be a transition to 8-bit. But who do you hand the reins off to when performing such a feat? Well, look no further than the one, the only Capcom. As brilliant as Capcom's DuckTales is, I was left with one major complaint upon completion: that it was simply far too short for a gamer such as myself. I was left wanting a bit more, and why wouldn't I? Picture this, right? Imagine reading the first short story by Carl Barks and saying to yourself, what a spectacle that was. Aren't you going to pick up a second issue at some point? Yes? No? What are you, stupid? Like one of those no-good Bugle Boys? You would have to be crazy not to, am I right? So imagine me playing through the first DuckTales on NES and being satisfied when there's 6 Mega Man titles sitting on a shelf next to me. I could only imagine what a sequel of this caliber could potentially play like. Much like the thrill we get hunting for lost retro treasures, we now must embark on new adventures across the world of Duckburg. What can I say? Life is like a hurricane, because it wouldn't be too long after our recent endeavors that Capcom would begin cooking up another adventure for us, one which would need to be capitalized on sooner than later, because if we have learned anything from old Uncle Scrooge here, is that you gotta seize the moment. And we would in fact do so the very moment our favorite trio of junior woodchucks stumbled upon an old dusty treasure map hidden inside Duck Manor. Well, what's left of it here? It appears at one moment in time, Scrooge's great-great-uncle Ferguson was working around the clock, looking to pinpoint the exact location of the legendary treasure of McDuck. Unfortunately, his map has seen better days, withered from the elements and scattered across the sands of time. Well, lucky for us, there's a sliver of hope here, because we've managed to locate one piece of this puzzle. So, just 6 more to go, which I'm confident our brave explorers will come to find in time. Needless to say, like a good Scrooge story, we're gonna solve this case page by page, because spit on my spats, it just dawned on me, we are now off to the races again, with the world's most extraordinary duck. Actually, on second thought, don't do that thing I mentioned. I have no clue what that phrase actually means. It just sounded great in the moment. Since we're currently riding a calm before the storm, a few things seem to have changed about our treasure hunting extraordinaire. He looks to have confidently mastered the art of the pogo. So much so, the old quack will simply instruct you to hold the B button down while catching some serious airtime, soaring across the lush tropical setting of Niagara Falls with finesse, as you explore the secrets which lie behind these waterfalls, which flow above and below these caverns. While looking for a good spot to dig your cane, why not get creative here for just a second, and try latching onto those hooks over there, so you can now get a better view of the many riches spread across these lands. They say the best treasure hunters can naturally adapt to the demands of the land, so we gotta be resourceful with what little tools we have if we wish to make progress. So flip that cane on its head and grab hold of that there box of loot. Good, now drag it here. I had a hunch there was something on the other side of this structure. You gotta question what your eyes can't see, leaving no stone left unturned. Speaking of such, let's wind that cane up now, like a Louisville slugger, to find what's hidden on the other side of this wall. Well, will you look at that, a lost relic of these lands. We might be searching for the lost pages of McDuck's map, but that doesn't mean Scrooge don't be Scroogin'. He still has a lust for the hunt, so by the luck of the duck, you find that missing piece of the puzzle, there's plenty exploring still to do deep inside these caverns, and you'll quickly find you have the freedom this time around to come and go as you please, so you can have your cake and eat it too. You should always plan for the worst case scenario, so expect the unexpected, because Uncle Scrooge sure will. If you find you're shit out of luck, chances are you aren't looking in the right place. Remember, you got friends in high places, so be sure to seek out Gyroduck, whom will modify this pimp cane with a few good upgrades to keep you on the proper path forward. Need to clear a few more yards there, Slugger? Just add on the brand new hammer adapter and give it another go. Perhaps you need a little more weight on the back end of this cane, you know, to break through those larger rock formations blocking us up at the pass. Well, with the iron adapter, there be no worries for the rest of your days. You know, this cane looks like it could use a little more girth around the handle to cling to that large cargo we got here. Well folks, with the power adapter, anything is possible. It's as if Scrooge has got an ace up his sleeve for every occasion. It's these tiny quality of life upgrades that make something like a DuckTales 2 an absolute privilege to play through. Tweaking what's already established to accommodate for veteran players and newcomers alike by keeping the series feeling fresh the second time around. I prefer a well-oiled package than a complete overhaul. We don't need to blow shit up for the sake of capitalizing on whatever hot new trend is catching on at the time. Save all that for the Super NES, which was already out for a few years by this point. So do me a solid and leave me here to find my way out of this pyramid when I'm good and ready. Besides, with all these clever new tools at my disposal, I feel my confidence growing. So I believe it's time to solve this pyramid's puzzle. As the pieces of our map slowly come together, things will begin to fall into place for our brave travelers. They now look to make their way across the Moo Waterway, an ancient city now lost to time itself, which is riddled with the remains of a lost civilization. One that will leave enough booby traps behind to keep their legacy safely buried beneath a sacred shrine. These ancient structures house some of the most challenging puzzles this game has to offer, so you just might slowly grow mad from the prolonged isolation deep below ground, trapped here in purgatory due to the likes of one duck's desires. Again, if you're feeling stuck to the point of no return, there's no need to power off your console when taking a mental health break. Just across the bend here lies a shop which pops up between each trip to and from your next destination. Hey now, we can cash in a few of those hard-earned diamonds for a few of those adorable one-up plushies. There's also continues and even health upgrades to keep our duck from getting plucked. I guess the frugal old fool is finally coming around a bit on his expenditures. You gotta spend a little to make a little, you know? And you really should do so, because this shop is always getting new stock in. And wait, what? Well, will you look at what we got traded in today? I'm not gonna haggle with you here, so just take my money. Well, only a few more pieces of this map to go, and in time, they lead us down the roads of Scotland to pay our respects to the royal family. Castle McDuck still stands tall in all its glory today, and they say the ancestral spirits of the fallen still protect these halls. Well, they don't seem to be amused the slightest, so let's locate our next piece of this map, maybe snag a treasure or two, and blow this joint. As you scale the castle, you need to overcome a series of trials, as if you're kinda like the descendant of this royal guard, now in training, overcoming some tight platforming sections, under extreme conditions. These long stretches will test your limits, slipping through the background till you find the culprit at large, whom is responsible for putting on this Fantasia-esque performance, unfolding before you. Things only get more bonkers the closer we get to the Bermuda Triangle, where supposedly time stands still. The Hans have apparently followed us here, and look to be powering this ship across these lost seas. Jokes aside, I can confidently tell you, this is my favorite stage of this game, not just because of the spooky pirate theme, but the presentation in its entirety. The ambient setting is captured perfectly through a masterful audio and visual showcase. This is my personal moon stage in a sense, because I find myself daydreaming about it more often than I wish. The tiny props stationed throughout is a nice touch, and the dialogue throughout always makes me pop. All the quintessential tropes are covered here, right down to the deadly duel with the captain himself. With the 7 pieces of our map united, the world surrounding us begins to tremble as a large landmass quickly rises from beneath the sea. This pint-sized Atlantis leads us below Castle McDuck, deep inside the underground catacombs, where we must embark in a final trial to see if we are truly worthy of the lost treasure of McDuck. This task won't be easy, Uncle Scrooge. You will need to display a mastery of your techniques in order to reach what you seek. However, before a victory is rewarded to us today, you have a rematch with the sorcerer of this castle, whom doesn't hold back now. So, if you wish to rewrite history as the greatest treasure hunter whom ever lived, you're gonna have to prepare for trouble, and make it double, going quackers on him here, with your trusty cane. Although this area is entirely optional, the added content is an excellent way to set this apart from the original. What else can I say, right Scrooge? No one gets in the way of this duck and his bucks. With the richest prize in our possession, it won't be long before that drizzling pissbag Flintheart would show himself, whom decides to now ducknap poor Webby as ransom for us to fork over this prize. He openly invites us to board his sea cruiser for a final showdown in the bowels of the ship. However, something appears off about the old fool, whom quickly melts down to a liquid metallic state, reforming into the mighty D-1000. He will quickly mount himself to the upper ceiling of this chamber, using those piping hot appendages to score poor Scrooge. Well, apparently Flintheart forgot to insert a few more moves into his memory stick, because this Terminator's CPU is about to be fried. He will most likely be on loop for a majority of this battle. Come on, Flintheart, you're gonna need a little more funds to outwit this duck. With the D-1000 taking a plunge below, Flintheart's ship begins to take a turn for the worst, quickly sinking down to the seafloor below as our heroes head for shore, leaving Scrooge's treasures behind, now lost to the seafloor. As our ducks reflect on today's events, they find that with or without these treasures, the greatest prize of them all is that they have each other. With his heart in the right place, Scrooge finds luck was on his side as Launchpad swoops in to save the day, now with a surprise delivery waiting for our team when they hop aboard. Hats off to you, Uncle Scrooge. Job well done. So, it's time to head back to Duckburg, gang, as we close out our story for today. Well, I guess that's a wrap, folks. DuckTales 2 is still one of my favorite games to this day, and although it's just about as short as the original, I'm just thankful we got a part 2. I get it, not everyone can be a Mega Man, and that's okay too. Still, the fact that we received a sequel to this to begin with means I can't complain. It gave me that closure, that something extra I was searching for. This was the perfect bookend to a great story, because when you put each chapter together, it truly feels complete. The perfect added extras, like a modern day expansion or DLC in a sense, compiled together like a perfectly curated collection. So, with that said, thank you Scrooge, and thank you Carl Barks, for making my childhood quite the memorable one. I have no doubt your stories will continue to be passed on and retold, much like the brilliant minds once did at Capcom, many moons ago, when inspired to create these two titles. And speaking of looking ahead, as one duck's journey comes to a close, another begins, because there's still mysteries out there that must be solved, only they just so happen to take place on the other side of town. Well then, I think it's time we head out, don't you agree, Launchpad? Oh, and for the rest of you out there watching at home, thank you. Thank you for always sticking with me on this channel. And with that said, I'll see you all here next week. Same rockin' time, same rockin' channel. Have a good night, everyone.